guys, Sullivan here in Philadelphia. It is a couple weeks before Thanksgiving and I thought that we could do a hand-tied bouquet, more of like a tutorial. I'm going to use a few different types of flowers and sort of like level them in terms of complicated, from very simple to one of my more intricate mixed kind of hand-tied bouquets. So I'm just going to make a bouquet, and I have my new very cool camera setup. 1, 2, 3 camera angles, so you should be able to get a lot more information from the videos. So I'm really excited about that, and then I'm filming this week, and if all goes well and this stays my setup, maybe we'll do a little film set tour on how I'm able to film by myself for you guys, because I gotta say the cats are not very good in terms of production assistance. This is a design that's going to stay together because we're going to tie it off in our hands, so it's really an easy thing to bring as a gift to Thanksgiving, or just to make really easily, quickly, and pop into vases around your house. If you're looking for super simple, I did do a bud vase tutorial where I just kind of styled some single blooms in a bunch of assorted bottles. But today I think we'll kind of step it up to some hand-tied techniques. So let's get started. All right, so I have started by preparing some roses. I have 12 roses. These are called Amnesia. They are this gorgeous, dusky lavender purple. And I have left these guard petals on. So these petals protect the outside of the rose, and I tend to leave them on all the time and pull them just at the point of handing something off to somebody, just because they do a good job of protecting the flower. These have just been sitting in my office waiting for me to be able to film with them. All right, so I have already removed all the rose thorns and leaves. These were actually pretty thorny. And I'm just gonna kind of shake them out so they're a little easier to grab. And I'm gonna start by picking one that is pretty open and upright. And you can kind of blow into the center to sort of puff them open. It just makes it that much more beautiful and picturesque. Just be careful. If they've been in the cooler, they have moisture around them, sometimes they spit back at you, which is kind of gross. All right, so I'm gonna start, and I'm just using a dozen roses, because if you're buying a bunch of roses at the grocery store, it's likely gonna be a 12-stem bunch. And I'm just kind of going to start I design hand-tied bouquets. I am right-handed, so I hold the bouquet in my left hand, and I use my right hand to feed and turn the bouquet. So we'll probably switch a lot between the this camera angle. And the tools that you need before you start are some floral tape, or you can use rubber bands. I'm not a big fan. And I will need clippers, which I didn't have over here. So I'm starting just by taking my showstopper rose and laying it across another rose. And then I am laying another rose on top. So I've just made a little trio. And I'm just gonna I'm kind of sliding the flower under my thumb and keeping the stems kind of crossing. And it looks like I'm just kind of holding my hand closed to keep control, but you can, if you lower your hand down the stems, the flowers will loosen up. So I think to get started, it's a good idea to keep your grip kind of high on the flower, and as you add more, we'll kind of shift it down. And so right now, all the flowers are creating a little bit of a spiral. And so I'm sliding a rose on top of the pile and turning. And sliding in another rose And actually, if they have a bend to them, you want to kind of position them so they help kind of form a shape for you. And I can put one more in here. And so it gets, let's see. So you can see they're still spiraling. If I open up my hand, I'm just feeding in to my grip, just right between my thumb and my forefinger. And by doing that, instead of this, you're not gonna get crisscrossed. You're kind of spiraling the stems rather than crisscrossing, because you want to be, the reason that we're trying to do a spiral is to keep control of the flower. So if one of these starts to stick up too much, because they're spiraled and not crisscrossed, we can kind of, you can see it moves freely. And when you're doing a kind of single bouquet, and you can see I always turn in this direction, even if I need to get there. By turning in one direction, you keep the spiral going where you want it to. So you can see it's kind of coming together, and it looks pretty balanced, but because I have some open and some very still sort of thinking about opening, I can make a space between these two and just slide in. And so now I can work on kind of balancing out. And there we have a simple rose hand-tied bouquet. And these just are fun, I think fun to practice. So I'm gonna, using floral tape, which is a waxed kind of crepe paper-like that when you stretch it, the wax sticks to itself. And I'm just going to put it under my thumb and forefinger and go around in kind of like a messy way. Now, because I haven't wrapped it super tightly, I can still kind of fuss with the flowers and move them and raise the center one up a little bit. So before you put that final layer of tape on, I love it. You could just cut this short and pop it into one of the vases. I think proportionally, this is kind of like a good shape and size. You could do it in here, but I would say you would need two dozen roses to really do it. So there you have them cut down and placed in a vessel. So you can give that as a gift, or what I like about doing hand ties in cylinders, because especially narrow cylinders can be kind of challenging to design in, is that when you want to change the water, you just pull the bunch out, dump out the water, and put fresh water in. So that is the rose hand tie with a dozen Amnesia is the name of this rose, Amnesia roses. For two, I'm going to use this dyed sweet pea that's looking a little crispy, but I wanted to show you how to shake off the dead blooms, but also show you can do the same spiral technique with a much more delicate flower. You just need more of them. So this is pretty tight in my hand, and it looks a little like, you know, definitely blooms fell off, but it also just looks like a little weird and kind of tight. So I'm just gonna shift my hand down and keep kind of trying to loosen it up. The flowers sort of stick to each other. And I have this just kind of, I love this vase. It's just a little like oil slick glass that had some water in it already. And I'm not going to use a ton of tape because I want this to be a little bit loose, but I just want to have enough control of it when I pop it in to the container. And I might be putting this tape a little low. It's not my favorite, but we'd probably need way more sweet pea. But we'll let it kind of like lean. Alright, so we've done all one flower twice, delicate and more sturdy. But I pulled some garden roses and some peonies. So starting to branch out, get adventurous. We're gonna take some Bardizella or Garden Treasure peony and some Caramel Antique garden roses and make a quick little hand tie with them. As you can see, working with 2 types of flowers. So I'm not really sure what we're doing here, but I'm gonna start by just kind of doing the crisscross, and maybe we'll do every other. So I'm gonna make sure you guys see how the stems cross. And we'll do it this way. So we'll surround, since the peonies are large, or they will be when they open. Let's see. We'll do 4 peonies around the garden rose. And then we might need a 5th rose to make this feel kind of balanced. Yeah, I'm gonna grab one more. And you can see they kind of, something shifted here. Oh, these 2 garden roses pushed this peony out of alignment. But because I was still feeding everything in, everything's still in a spiral, so I can kind of just work on arranging them. And this will have a little more air, meaning there will be some air between. It's when you're working with different sizes, and these are 2 pretty round face flowers, you're gonna have, because they're not gonna fit snugly up against each other the way that something in the same scale, like the roses are all the same size, you can kind of nest them together. So we're leaving, I'm gonna leave a little bit of space for everything to kind of open up. And I am gonna cut this one rose stem because I'm catching it on the table. And then I'll just kind of work my way around, playing with height and turning. Like that center rose is gonna keep sliding down, so it's part of why it's a nice technique to use the hand tie, because you can keep popping it up. To add some space between things and let things kind of fall a little, you just move your hand down the stems. I'm not gripping, I'm gripping tightly because I want to hold on to it, but not so tightly that, trash trucks going by, not so tightly that, not so loosely that everything's kind of falling. So somewhere in between. That's why I'm saying practice, and practice with solid straight stems whenever possible. So I can still wiggle this guy up a little. And not sure if any of these vessels are gonna work for this. I think using a taller, this isn't really a flared vase, but it has like a teeny bit of a flare, but it's not quite, you kind of need to design your hand-tied bouquet to a dimension that is maybe an inch or two outside. It's part of why the sweet pea looks a little goofy, but the roses work because they're kind of projecting out an inch or two from the vessel. So if I did something like this, it would maybe just fit on the, and it might look a little too small. And this is definitely too large. And then I think this marble one is going to be for the next, the bigger mixed hand tie that I'm going to do. So I think we'll do this one. So that's 2 types of flowers. Last up, I'm going to make a bouquet with a whole bunch of things. This is Asclepias butterfly weed. So I'm going to use that foliage that I've left on. So I'm just really trying to think about just keeping all the foliage off of where my grip's going to be. So, and because it's fall, I picked this really gorgeous spirea foliage. So gorgeous. It's like fall, all the colors of fall in one stem. Then I got Lisianthus, which I feel like I've used possibly in every single video this season, but I just love it. It's really long lasting. It comes in a ton of interesting colors, and you can see, I mean, it's just really multi-dimensional in terms of color in one single stem. And I have a kind of peachy pink spray rose called Sahara Sunset. Alright, so I cannot live without a berry texture. Look at the color of this privet. So good. It's a little floppy. And then my face flowers, I'm going to figure out after I start to put the shape together. I have a few options. So I'm going to start making a crisscross like I do, like I have, in my thumb and forefinger with just foliage elements to start. So I think that I want to make sure that I see the color of the butterfly weed, the Asclepias, and I'm just going to keep feeding things in. And this berry is kind of long, so if you watched my fall bridal bouquet, hand-tied bouquet from about a month ago, I cut the stems frequently. These are not quite as heavy as some of the material I use sometimes, but by keeping the stems a little shorter, they don't catch on anything. You have like a little more control. And you know, don't be alarmed. At this point, it's not gonna look like much. It's gonna just look like the start of, actually I'm gonna do this so we don't have to keep reaching for the clippers. So just continuing to lay flowers here and turn. So I feel like all the spirea is kind of too tall at this point, but that's the nice thing about not feeding things through. It's fairly easy to adjust things. Like this piece is gorgeous. I mean, that piece is very nice, but I wouldn't sacrifice the top just to keep that little side lateral. And hopefully you guys can see, I keep turning in the same directions. Even if like, I'll try to just do it a little more slowly in a minute. But like I wanted to reach this spot, which felt a little bare and needed some additional color, and it was here, and it would have been faster to turn back this way, but I just am at this point conditioned to turn in one direction. And I'm still just feeding everything in through here in my fingers. And so even though I can kind of feed it in, I'm still laying the stems outside and into that joint. So I would like, let's see, I feel like it could use some privet berry in through here. And so I am going to feed through, but again, I'm still, the stem is still ending up on the outside. And that helps me, I can still adjust, but it gets that pop of color in there where I would like it. So at this point, I'm pretty happy with the overall shape and the play of color. I think that this might be too curved, too floppy for this spot, but we'll try. You can try to kind of pinch the two stems together, and maybe I'll turn it. Yeah. So by turning it and counteracting that curve, it's going to stay a little more upright, although there's some, this stem is wild. That's pretty much the color story I was going for there. It's pretty nice to see it come together. So I'm just going to keep turning. And laying the flowers in, and you can start, this is where you can see I'm threading them in to the design. I am just focusing on feeding in from the outside. And this is part of why your hand starts to get fatigued, because the whole weight of the bouquet is resting now on your two fingers and your hand. That clearly wasn't a piece that was meant to go there. So I almost always end up doing some form of peach flowers for Thanksgiving. My great Aunt Dolly is no longer with us, but she passed just a few years ago, but she lived to her early to mid 90s. And peach was her favorite color, and she has always hosted our family that lives in the Pennsylvania, Maryland, New Jersey area, and she like loved peach, and every apartment that she ever lived in had all this peach and black floral. And so when I became a floral designer 10 years ago, it became obviously my responsibility to bring flowers to the dinner, and so I would always choose peach for her because she just loved it so much, and she loved flowers, and she used to do a lot of arranging for her community. So it's kind of become the family tradition, I guess, for at least in our household, is to do peach tones for Thanksgiving. And I think she would probably think this is pretty cool, even though I'm using lavender with her favorite peaches. But I'm pretty happy with how that's turning out, and you can see everything's still spiraling. So if you haven't gotten it by now, it's really important to just lay the flowers on top of the stems that you already have and to turn in one direction, and you will literally get the same spiral. So let's pick. Okay, so I have one killer brother Chuck, who names these things, peony, which would definitely push this into romantic bridal bouquet territory, but it is really, really pretty. I'm going to stab myself because I didn't remove the thorns from the Amnesia Rose that we already saw, but that looks pretty gorgeous. And then I have more of the caramel antiques. So I think I'll stick with the roses for right now and see if we need this peony. Why didn't I remove? I was so focused on getting started on filming because, oh no. Battery exhausted. So now I have to, well, this is good for you. Here's how you can put something down and come back to it. I'm just gonna secure my spiral with a little bit of tape so I can let it go and then put it in something more substantial than that. Marble, it's not going anywhere. And BRB. So I don't have to remove the tape. I'm just gonna leave it in place, and I'm gonna quickly add in the last of my flowers so that I can get this finished before the overhead camera battery needs to be changed. I don't know if it has a front or a back. It should probably, especially if it's gonna be a gift for somebody, it should probably be pretty all around. It's a bridal bouquet, you know, sometimes they have a pretty front. Make sure, oh, the battery's gonna die on that. So, let's see, if I need to add a little more color. Well, we'll just switch to this guy. It feels like it needs some color right in here. So, just gonna put in a couple more roses. I think if I put in the big peony, it's not that it wouldn't be pretty, but it's covering up too much. So I am aiming to get this rose here, and I'm doing that by threading it in almost opposite where it belongs, because then I can get it to face forward where I want it to. It's definitely a little bit of trial and error. I think that might have done it. Might try to thread a little more Lysianthus through here, but it's heavy. I'm ready to put it down. Got some lunch. Definitely time to wrap up. Okay, so rather than keep fussing, I'm going to wrap it up and make a clean spot. It's always nice to see, in my opinion, see a color palette, which if you want to see, I just made a video about how kind of I build a color palette. But yeah, it's just nice to see the color story come together. I'm kind of known for making kind of loose, open, you can see I use a lot of flowers, but I'm trying not to jam them right next to each other. So I'm trying to leave the air, leave that space. And if you wrap all the way tightly down to the bottom and make like a very like lollipop type of bouquet grip, you are essentially gonna compress some of the flowers up top. So that's pretty solid. And this is like a trick with the hand ties. Well, if you cut it a little more neatly than I did, it's about It might tip forward. Yep, there it goes. So, but it's really popular in Holland to they sell these hand-tied bunches of flowers with just ribbon around them, and they cut the stems as straight as possible at the bottom so that they stand up on their own. And that's like a big gift item. You just kind of bring a bouquet wherever you're going. I wish that was a trend, more of a trend here in the States. I wish flowers were, I mean, I think they are becoming part of our everyday culture, but nope. Guys, thanks so much for watching. Leave me a comment below if you're going to give this hand-tied bouquet technique a try sometime soon, either for Thanksgiving or to give as a gift. If you love all things flora, please subscribe to my channel, and you want to hit that bell because the next video I'm actually going to be showing what's in my toolkit, and I'm doing a giveaway of a full toolkit. So all my floral design tools that I like to have available when I am out doing my floral design work in the world. And come find me on Instagram at Sullivan_Owen to see a little bit more of the day-to-day. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.